Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Hello and welcome again to our weekly Islamic Parent and live streaming. As every single week, we discuss one of the topics that interest Muslim families all over the world. Welcome everyone to our interesting topic. And as you all know, that every single week we have this interesting topic somehow, like that we get to discuss, we get to highlight, we get to actually mention all the points and all the aspects related to that whatsoever, and we highlight that we highlight it actually through the Islamic point of view, like Sheikh, like where Imam Hussein points of view, also like the Sunnah and Quran points of view whatsoever, and we try to relate that to our life as much as possible. And today, inshallah, we have this topic actually, which is, talking to our children about the second wave of COVID-19. As you all know, through this pandemic, like so many people actually got like so many whether health problem or a mental problem we can say. That's why we'd like to highlight this one for today. And we have over here Imam Hussein. First of all, Assalamu alaikum, Imam. How are you doing?
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله. I'm Sheikh Muhammad. Thank you so
Alhamdulillah,
much
I
for
hope
having
that
me.
you're all doing like you're doing well all the time. Allah, I mean. That's why, inshallah, today we're going to talk about practical
Likewise.
advice on maintaining the mental health of our children. We're going to talk about guidance of Islam on dealing with pandemics, like how should Muslims actually like deal, or what should they do whenever we have pandemics whatsoever, or whenever we go through them. And also, we're going to talk about an effective preparation for a second COVID-19 school year, as I guess like we were going to start the school year, inshallah, the new one, really soon. And I guess like also some people started. So, anyways, inshallah, we're going to try to cover mainly the practical advice that Imam Hassan, inshallah, today is going to mention about maintaining the mental health. Believe me, for me personally, whenever I stay at home for a long time, this drives me crazy. Like I turn into like a mad person to be honest, I don't like staying at home. I don't like just like not doing all the daily activities that I'm used to do whatsoever. So Imam Hussein today inshallah is going to talk about this for all of our dear viewers. Imam Hussein, he is the head of education of Muslimito Institution. He is also a member of Al Azhar Fatwa Global Center, and he is also a lecturer at Faculty of Sharia and Law Al Azhar University. Imam Hussein, um, what should we do? We are not used to such a thing. So what should you do? Online education, staying at home, like no activities whatsoever. Please.
Well, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praises due to Allah, the Almighty, the Lord of the worlds. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon His final and last messenger, Muhammad. And may
Alayhi
Allah's
salatu
peace, mercy,
wassalam.
and blessings be with you, Sheikh Muhammad, all the members of the Muslimito family, and of course, all our dear respected viewers and listeners across the globe. Since we are still at the beginning of the new Islamic year, I'd like to reiterate my best wishes and sincere prayers for a productive and blessed year for all the members of the Muslim community across the globe, and of course, uh, definitely extend this to all our fellow members of the global human family.
Thank you
Definitely,
so much for this.
thank you so much. Likewise, definitely, I really appreciate your introduction and how uh, you managed to uh, pinpoint the challenge, which to many of us is definitely unprecedented in the sense that now we have to maintain strictly precautionary health measures. And of course, this uh, has an impact not only on adults and parents, and of course, definitely it has a huge impact and influence on toddlers and uh, kids as well as young people in general. This is why I do think that, in light of the expectations that are very high, as a matter of fact, regarding an expected second wave of COVID 19, it is of a paramount importance to best prepare for this, especially in view of the fact that now families across the globe are preparing for a new school year or academic year. So this is why I do think that we need to pay an extra attention regarding how to best maintain our children's mental health as well as their mental well-being. This is why here I have put together a number of practical points so that as parents we can effectively maintain the mental health of our children. With that being said,
That's
let's
very
uh,
nice.
go go directly to the very first one. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to share this one. I'm saying this because definitely taking care of ourselves will be reflected on how we maintain the mental health of our children. This is why you see what I mean, Sheikh Muhammad?
Yeah, we just lost you for a second. It seems
Yeah,
that, the internet isn't actually so glad talking about COVID-19 whatsoever.
yeah. The very first point,
Yeah, if you
uh,
can repeat yourself, that's gonna be
yeah.
amazing.
So
Thank you.
the very first point has to do with the parents themselves, and this is why I'd like to uh, whisper into the ears of each and every father and mother that the very first practical step that you need to put into action and to undertake in order to be in a position and to be empowered to maintain the mental well-being of your children is
Hmm.
for you to take care of yourself, because when you take
You
care
mean
of
for the
yourself,
parent to take care of
exactly. So
himself or
because
herself? Hmm.
exactly, so because when the parent does take care of him or herself, this
Okay.
will reflect and it will also has an impact on the way how they take care of their children. So this
As
is
a
very,
role model, you mean? Like they're
of
gonna see
course,
how much they take care of themselves whatsoever. So the children are gonna, like I mean, children are gonna try to imitate or copy them whatsoever. That's what the thing
this
you're
is a
trying to
big
say?
part of it. Definitely, this is a big
Okay.
part of it. So the way how you deal with it, the way how you carry yourself, the way how you phrase even your language when you talk about anything that's related to COVID-19,
Hmm.
definitely your children will pick this. And obviously, even if you are not talking directly to them, but if for example the parents are talking about it with each other at home, the children will also be able to listen this. They will be able to pick this. So this is why it is very important to be extra cautious with this. And this is why, and I repeat, the very first practical advice is for you as a parent to take care of yourself, because as I said, the attitude of the parent will definitely have an immense
Hmm.
impact on one's children. This is why, in very practical terms, it is very important for the parent to discuss his or her feelings and concerns uh, with uh, with each other as parents, and if not possible, to discuss them with a close friend. But it is advisable in this regard to
Hmm.
do this away from the presence of the children. And if needed, it is also recommended to seek professional help if an extra emotional support is needed.
I got you. So we're just talking about like being
Mhm.
in the middle somehow.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it's COVID-19 thingy. So yeah, we're afraid, but we do not be in a terror or something, and also we do not just like ignore it totally. That well,
Exactly.
yeah, like
Exactly.
COVID-19,
Yes.
like there's nothing called COVID-19. Like I
Yeah.
remember one of my students actually like lives in America. He just says that COVID-19, like it's just a lie, what? It's not a lie,
Yeah.
so yeah, talking about this one, just being in the middle, not being super exaggerative parents, or not
Exactly.
even to just like belittle the danger of
Yes.
the COVID-19 thingy. Okay.
Yeah. Another very important practical advice in this regard is to talk about it. It is very important to provide the safe space to talk about it. So, for instance, in very practical terms, if my child does not feel okay to talk about it, I mean about COVID 19 in particular, or any uh, consequence or any ramification or repercussion
Hmm.
of the unfolding events that are related to the pandemic. We need to provide the safe space for them to talk about it, because it does not mean that if they are not talking about it, I mean, it does not mean that they are not concerned about it,
Hmm.
or that they are not affected by it. So this is why, as a parent, I need to frame my language in a positive way as much as I can. So no matter how challenging the situation can be, I
Hmm.
need to provide the space for my children to share their concerns and their fears and their worries with me. And I do my best as a parent. Of course, if needed, professional help can be sought. Why? In order to be in a position to address the concerns and the fears of my child in a positive way.
Yeah.
Another very important thing here in this regard is the fact that the parents themselves need to be patient enough to listen to the concerns of their children. So, for example, as a parent, even if you don't have all the answers, or all the solutions that would address or that would resolve the fears and the problems of your child, so at least provide the safe space for them to talk about it,
Yeah.
to share them with you, because definitely, as is the case with any human being, we feel better when we talk about our concerns,
Yeah, when we
especially
just
when
share things generally.
exactly,
Hmm.
especially when we share our concerns and our fears with people that are the closest to us, people
Hmm.
that we can open up to. This is why, as a parent, I need to make sure that I am providing this necessary and vital space to my children. So this is also a very important point.
Yeah, it's like super effective. So whenever they just like I don't know how to phrase this, but like sometimes our, like especially like children, actually they
Mhm.
think of that a lot, and they say
Yeah.
that, well, COVID, like we're gonna be infected by it, we're not gonna live, we're
Mhm.
gonna die, we're gonna just like do such and such. So they literally go crazy. So like doing as you just like said will actually, reduce the effect
Yeah.
of such a thing. So
Mhm.
they're not going to be, um they're not going to be super afraid, but they're going to be, like able to manage such a situation by
Mhm.
not being super afraid or something, but being, like managing, or by being able to manage such
Mhm.
a thing whatsoever.
Yeah, this
um
is very
yeah,
important, as a matter of fact,
yeah,
Sheikh Muhammad, and it leads me
mm,
to the very important next point here,
yeah,
and that's to limit and to minimize as much as I can the negative uh, language or thoughts
yeah,
that my children can be exposed to. So, making sure that I minimize any negative input
mm,
into the mind of my children. Because clearly we can see that uh, talking about it, I mean, about COVID 19 and its dangers and its health uh, concerns, clearly all this has gone viral, and on a
yeah,
daily
sure,
basis
sure.
we are bombarded through the media, even the social media, on a regular basis, as I mentioned, with the number of people who contracted the virus, the number of people who lost their lives because of the virus, the
May Allah have
economic,
mercy on
uh,
them. Allahumma ameen.
of
On the
course,
Muslims of
Allahumma
them.
ameen. Ameen. Ya Rab. So here we clearly see, and in addition to this, the economic losses as a result of uh, the hit of COVID-19. So you can see how negative this is on the mind and on the mental well-being of our children. So this media coverage regarding you see the images that accompany this news coverage, as well as many of our conversations. As a matter of fact, on a daily basis, I would say that they strike fear in the hearts and the minds of our children. They are very scared because of what they are listening to. This is why it is vital to make sure that I'm always there to monitor and to be able, thus, in a position and to be in a position to minimize the
The
negative
fear.
input, and of course, as a result, the fear or the possible fear when it comes to my children. So this is why it is important to keep them away from negative news and unhealthy or frightening conversation. And this is why, as a matter of fact, it is very advisable to avoid them totally if possible. Not to the extent that they are not aware of what is going on, in
Mm,
order, as you mentioned, not to reach the point of saying, no, there is nothing at all, and we don't need, for example, to wear the mask or to use sanitizers on a regular basis. So, not also to that extent, but how to adopt this middle path, this moderate approach that, yes, they are aware that there is a risk, and also they are aware how to deal with this risk and how to avoid it, so that they are empowered and they are in a position to lead a normal life. So
yeah,
this is what is our goal: how to provide this sense of normality to our children. Another very important point here is to reassure our children. So This is the job, as a matter of
You
fact.
said to reassure.
Yes,
Can you explain that, please?
in the sense that as parents, as medical doctors, as teachers and educators, and even as scientists, we need to give people, and especially particularly our children, that there is hope, that yes, you can avoid it, that even if it is contracted or someone is infected, still through taking good care of themselves and abiding by the medical measures, and dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they can be cured, they can uh, get rid of it and feel better and go back to lead a normal and productive life.
Yeah.
So, this atmosphere of reassurance is very vital to maintaining the mental well being and stability of our children.
So you just let them know that, yeah, it's dangerous whatsoever, and we need to take care of ourselves. But you know what? Even if somebody got infected by it, inshallah, if it does such and such, he's gonna be good, right? That's the conversation like that we should lead, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the sense that, and I repeat because it's a very important point, we need to strike this balance that yes, you need to be careful. There are very important health measures that we need to observe and to implement.
yeah,
And of course, with this, we can lead a healthy life. With this, we can continue being productive. With this, we can continue learning and growing. This is the point here.
yeah. As in the media, actually, they exaggerate somehow,
Mhm.
or sometimes they exaggerate for the sake of throwing, or causing fear in adults' hearts, because some people are not actually, you know, aren't paying a lot of attention to their health whatsoever. That's why you're gonna find that in the media sometimes they really exaggerate, so others can get to can get to abide by the instructions that,
Yeah,
whether the
definitely.
state actually, or whether the
Mhm.
global like health organization actually asks all everyone to do. So the point is, for adults, yeah, these exaggerations are very good. Like, we get the best out of that. But the point is, for children, yeah, they totally get affected by it, and yeah, maybe it will, cause them like a lot of problems, like a lot of problems, as you're just saying now.
Yeah,
Um,
this is
yeah,
why it is very important to maintain this balance and this moderate attitude, uh, if I may say, in this regard. With
yeah,
that being said, let's move swiftly to a very further significant point, and that's to prepare my children in advance, ahead of the start of the school year, because clearly there will be new regulations. So, as a parent, I need to be aware of them. This is why I need to stay in contact and to be uh, alert to any notices or any emails or even any calls that would come from the school of my children,
yeah,
because definitely, as I said, there will be new regulations, so I need
sure,
to be aware of them, and definitely they will directly affect our children. So this is why we need to take the time to be aware of them and to bring this to the attention of our children, so that they are psychologically and mentally prepared to deal with and to address these changes or these modifications.
yeah,
So it is very important not to cause or not to bring about a shock to them. So this is
yeah,
why, as I said and I repeat, there needs to be this safe space to share news with them, to share updated notices with them, and to see how this will affect them. If they have any concerns, we need to make sure that they can speak up and they can talk with us about them, and then see how we can best help them, how we can facilitate these changes or these modifications, so that when it is actually the start of the school year, they are already prepared ahead and they are well uh, suited to start their academic year and to function effectively as learners. So
Yeah.
this is very important as parents now. We keep an eye on our email inbox and to contact, if needed, the office concerned at the school of my child, to know if there will be any changes or any notifications, and in order to be aware of them and to act accordingly.
I think that like they're gonna be doing online schooling, I guess,
It depends. It depends
on the
because
state itself, state or country, right? Yeah, it depends.
it
It
depends
depends. Yeah,
because
that's totally correct.
this will depend on where it is to be taken. So this is why as a parent I need to be aware of what will happen, and to be prepared for all scenarios. And this is why I need to talk with my child would be the situation, and then to prepare for each scenario and to equip them deal with any potential scenario or situation.
Yeah. You reminded me of one of my students. He
So
is
all
about
of this
12-year
is
old.
very important, and I repeat, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that there was a
Hmm.
glitch or something. I mean, you reminded me of my student. He's about like 12-year old or something.
Hmm.
Like in the past before COVID-19 whatsoever, whenever I ask him, "Do you like school?" He says, "No, it's tiring. I don't like school." And a couple of days ago, I told him like you're gonna start school, but you're gonna be like you're happy, right? Because you're not gonna go there. He told me, "No, I like school. I like going to school." So like being updated will actually help a lot because like for some student
Sure.
actually we're being well prepared for the updates if we can like be more specific. I mean, being
Yeah.
well prepared, well updated with all the preparation will actually
Mm.
lead to a good result at the end of the day, inshallah.
Sure, sure. Definitely, this is very important, and it has to do in some sense with the very next practical advice that I'd like to share here with our dear respected parents,
Yeah, please.
and that's regarding cleanliness reminders.
Hmm.
Of course, due to the fact that my children were not at school the last period. For some of them, they are not like strictly following all the precautionary health measures. So since
Sure. Because
to
they're
start
at home, so why do they
and
take,
go
you know, why
and
do they
going
need to
back to
take care
school
of
is
themselves?
very likely. This is why, since going back to school is a very highly likelihood, I need to gradually make sure that they are accustomed to carrying out all the necessary health measures. For instance, when they return to school, or when if they are going to be in a group setting in general, I need to make it clear that they always need to be aware of washing their hands, excuse me, washing their hands regularly, wearing a mask, making sure that they don't share personal items
Sure.
with others, and to be very cautious about touching their face and all the rest of the health
Yeah, precautions.
measures
No
that
need.
are all the health measures that are recommended by the competent health authorities in this regard. So, giving them all these regulations on a regular basis makes them highly prepared to going to school or going back to school. And this is why also we need to make sure that this is the case, even uh, if our children will be doing home schooling. Still, their school space at home needs to be a special place, and they need to observe all these health measures in their school space at home.
Yeah, what do you mean by the school space again?
I mean, for example, for the families that will be online or at home, for their children, definitely they need to dedicate a school space at home, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
this
like
is
a place, like a desk or something where they can get to
yeah. So
study, where they can
e-
get to like, yeah, it's like the
exactly.
place where they actually get prepared for school, or the
And where they
place.
attend the classes online,
Yeah,
and
I got
when
that.
and where they study.
Not
So
on the
all
bed, not on the
exactly, because
any other similar place.
exactly, because it's very important to have a well prepared space for this, so that they are able to learn effectively as well. So
Yeah,
even if this is the case, still all the necessary health measures need to be implemented by our children.
yeah. Uh,
Yes.
that's very nice. Like,
Mhm.
do you still have any other points of mine, Sheikh
Yeah,
Hussam,
definitely.
or you
I
finished
still,
all the points?
yeah, of course. Still, there are a number of practical advice that I'd like to share with all of our parents, and that's the very necessary and the very required back to school shopping,
Oh,
because this is a time where
they're not gonna get
children.
uniforms.
So it depends, whatever the cause or the motive behind the shopping. So all of these things, they are almost like rituals that need to be observed. As you mentioned, buying new clothing and all the school supplies and the special dinner boxes and the all the preferred meals that they would like to have with them if they are going to school. So whatever these supplies are, we need to provide them with this in order not to feel that there is missing, or that there is something that's very dangerous, that such habits cannot be observed anymore. So this is why it is very important to provide them with the ordinary and the normal atmosphere of going back to school, because maintaining such practices would definitely help children to experience some sort of comfort in their transitioning from being at home for all this period in light of all of these circumstances and going back to school. So this is why it is very important to provide them with this atmosphere of normality. And let me tell you something else here in this regard,
Yeah,
because
please.
some stationery supplies and organizers, they will bring about this sense of reassurance to the mind and the heart of my child, and that or the sense that this is truly the time for going back to school. But yeah, there is this pandemic, so there are uh, little differences. But overall, this is the time to go back to school, and this is very vital as far as maintaining the mental well-being of our children is concerned.
Yeah.
This leads me to a very important point with regards to the families that will be doing the schooling at home, and that's the routines that are usually practiced. So it is important to provide our children with the structure and the comfort of routines, and to maintain a standard bid, for instance. And when it comes to the meals of food that they are accustomed to, and in addition to this, to create new spaces in the routine where the child can organize themselves for the start of the academic year or the school year. Even when it comes to taking breaks and organizing themselves for going to the following day, even to maintain the practices of going to bed on a certain time and waking up in a certain time. So maintaining this routine of being at school, even if my child will be doing homeschooling, is very important when it comes to maintaining the mental well-being of my child, so that they don't see that there is a very
Big
severe
difference. Yeah.
shock, or a very enormous difference between the two uh, cases or between the two situations. So,
Yeah.
in other words, creating and establishing and providing the atmosphere of being at school and going to school regularly is very important.
Yeah. So like we just ask them every day to get up on time. We're having this like instructions whatsoever
Mhm.
will actually like curve that on their minds that
Yeah,
yeah, we still have something, like we still have school, we still do such and such. Yeah, that's totally correct, Imam Hassan.
yeah,
um what else, please, Imam? Like keep doing the rest of the points, please. I'd like to listen
yeah.
to the rest, please.
Yeah, there is a very important point, and of course, it is very significant as far as maintaining the mental well-being of our children is concerned. We need to remember the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to rely on the power and the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through performing prayer and through supplication or dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obviously, at these tough times, we need to maintain a very close and robust relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to always remind our children that they constantly need to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection. This is a very important aspect regarding maintaining the well-being overall of my child, and especially their mental well-being. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in this regard,
Alayhi
told
salatu
us
wassalam.
a very powerful statement, and that's when one of the companions came, and he did not tie his camel, and he said, I just let it loose, and I rely on Allah that nothing wrong will happen. So the Prophet ﷺ was there, as was always the case,
Alayhi salatu
to
wassalam.
guide and to correct his understanding and to guide his religiosity or his understanding and practice of Islam. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said to him, اعقلها وتوكل. That's
Sure.
tie your camel and rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, this, as a matter of fact, signifies the importance of taking the precautionary measures at the first place on equal footing with relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and placing one's trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a very important point to maintain this balance, that I don't totally disregard the importance of taking all the precautionary measures that we have highlighted and just say that you need to rely and trust in Allah and that's it. No, this is not the case, and this is not what Islam teaches, as we have highlighted in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Alayhi salatu
Accordingly,
wasalam.
accordingly, we need to teach our kids the true meaning of tawakkul, and that's by striking this balance by implementing and taking the necessary action and precautionary measures in parallel with making dua and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this remembrance and bringing this to the mind of my child is very important in maintaining their well-being.
Yeah.
Another,
Totally agree
yeah,
with this point. That's really, really, really relative actually to
yeah.
the point you're saying. Yeah.
Mhm. Another very important point here in this regard is taking care of the physical well-being of our children, because this is really a very important point,
I
because
totally agree. With this one, I
because,
totally
yeah,
agree.
because of the corona situation uh, and the lockdown, like there is what I would describe as a disregard for one's physical well-being, especially in view of the necessary measure of wearing face masks, and definitely they minimize uh, the amount of oxygen that we
Super
take
annoying.
in. So this is why it's very important to take care as well of our physical well-being, and conducting physical activity is definitely very vital for everyone's mental well-being, because it is all connected. And this is why in Arabic we have the saying of al-aql salim fi al-jism salim, that uh, a healthy mind or a sound mind exists in a sound body, which highlights the importance of taking care of one's physical well-being in order to maintain their mental health and their mental well-being.
Sure, because
So,
dealing with our body as just like a work machine or a machine to study whatsoever
yeah,
isn't actually the best practice to be honest. That's why, whenever you get to pay more attention to your health, whenever you get to pay more attention to the way you actually live your life whatsoever, things get way much better. Uh,
definitely. So,
Makes you so motivated, the blood goes every
yes.
single where, like your
It is
mind
very
is super
important
active.
for the blood circulation, of course. And this is why, even if my child is getting physical education classes at school, still I need to do a little bit extra work or effort in this regard to make sure that they get the necessary attention to their physical well-being. Another very important point is exercising mindfulness. And of course, the prayer is a very important and a very effective means to exercise mindfulness and to vitalize one's connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that they can benefit both physically and mentally as well. And there are many resources on this regard, and just it is at the fingerprint of all of us
You
nowadays.
can get
So
everything.
exactly, via the internet. So this is why we need to check all of this. So a very out of all of this, we can clearly see the importance of not to let my child feel worried about going back to school. Definitely, this is a very challenging time, but all of us are experiencing this. We are together in this. All of us are in the same boat. This is why we need to take care and to implement all the practical pieces of advice that we have just shared with our children. And if needed, and this is a very important point, if needed as parents, we need to seek professional help and professional assistance, because
Supervision.
inevitably the way how you deal with all of this will clearly have an impact on the mental well-being of our children. This is why we need to make sure that we are best prepared to deal with the whole situation, and this is why we need to read more, to find out more, and this brings to our mind a very important point that we highlighted before, and that through educating and upbringing our children, it is a great opportunity for us to grow with them as well. So it is
To
a
grow,
reciprocal process that with them, definitely through educating and parenting my child, it is an opportunity for me as a
to grow
parent
mentally, you
to
mean?
grow as well. So
Hmm.
this is what to grow mentally, to grow knowledge wise, experience wise, of course. uh, Definitely everything that I need to provide my child with, I need to be best equipped with the means and the knowledge to provide it. Because, if as a parent you lack all of this, you cannot provide it. So this is my point, and this is why, and I repeat, the very first piece of advice is for the parents themselves to take good care of themselves first, because this will then be reflected on the way how they provide help and support to their children.
That's totally correct. And I totally agree with all the points that you mentioned today, Sheikh Hussein, mashallah. All of them were actually to the point, mashallah. All of them were actually, like hitting actually the topic we are talking about. I know how challenging it is for so many parents, especially if they're just like, like young parents, we can say, they're super afraid. They do not know what to do. They are experiencing something that they have never ever experienced before. That's why, like paying a good attention to that, inshallah, will help them a lot, inshallah, to
Yeah, and
provide
this is why
their,
I'd like to share in this regard with
yeah, please.
all parents watching us. If they need help, they are most welcome to reach out to us through our Facebook page or through the website, and inshallah, we will do our best to provide support and assistance in this regard, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. Thank you so much for offering that. And
Inshallah.
as Imam Hussein said right now, it's really okay to contact us if you have any question or something, if you have anything that you'd like to make sure about concerning the Islamic religion, if you have any, thing that you're not actually aware of that much, if you have like so many things in your mind, and you'd like to make sure of them, please make sure that you contact us. Inshallah, we're going to make sure that we answer all of your questions, inshallah. Also, fatwas, Sheikh Hussein?
Inshallah, we will do our best to help, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. So, the thing that I was saying, that these points are really to the point, and these points will really help many people, inshallah, to to to
To
pass
be,
this
yeah, to be best,
situation, if you can say.
to be best prepared, because all of us, and it happens, we need practical guidance as to deal uh, with situations like this. So it is very normal if they like to watch again the webinar, to read more, and to reach out to us if any further assistance, support, or clarification is needed.
Yeah, so I was actually asking if it's possible to summarize all the points,
Yes,
so all of our dear viewers can get to even take notes for these points, and also like they're
correct.
watching the record or something, they can,
Yes,
I mean the record, they can get to take like save the notes or whatever, so they can
yes,
make use
yeah.
of it in the future, inshallah. So
Yeah, yeah. This is very important. And to summarize, just in very clear and to the point points, we are here talking about the importance of taking care of the mental well-being of our children ahead of going back to school, because we can see that there are reports coming out from competent authorities and health organizations that it is very likely for the world to witness a second wave of COVID-19. And definitely
yeah.
for some countries, our children will be going back to school, and we can also find out and see that there will be other children who will need to do home schooling. This is why, as a parent, I need to make sure that I'm providing all the necessary support and creating and establishing the needed atmosphere and environment for my child to maintain a high standard of mental well-being. And this is why the very first point is for the children's parents themselves to take care of themselves, because when they take care of themselves, this will definitely empower them to take care of their children. And
They're gonna be like
obvious
role models, if we can say.
Exactly, and of course, since they have the necessary and the sufficient knowledge, they will be able to support their children. And this is why, and I repeat, they need to seek professional help if needed. The second point here is to provide the safe space for my children to talk about their fears and to talk about their concerns, and to do my best as a parent to address them and to support them. And even if I don't have the answers or the solutions to all the concerns or all the fears that are going through the mind of my child, at least I need to provide the safe space for them to speak up, for them to reach out and feel safe and comfortable to share their fears and their concerns with me as a parent. Another very important point, and that's number three here, is to limit to the best of my ability the negative input to the mind of my child. Uh, Definitely, the many uh, negative uh, forms of news are bombarding uh, all of us, and of course, our children are not excluded. So this is why it is very important, if possible, to uh, cut down such input, or at least minimize it to the best of my ability, so that even if I need to talk about it, I need to talk it with my spouse or a close friend or one of my parents, i.e., the grandparents of my children, if needed, but to make sure that this will not negatively affect
Affect them.
my child in any way or by any means. Rather, I need to reassure my children as a parent, and this is also the duty of each and every one of us as adults, including teachers and medical doctors and scientists, that yes, there is a solution, there is a drug being developed or a vaccine.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Yeah, so it is always important to make them hopeful and to feel that there is good news, that there is a solution in sight, and it is very important to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in achieving this. Another very
Trust on
important
Allah.
point is to always be ahead regarding any expected or any likely changes or modifications, because definitely there will be new school regulation guidelines. So I need to be alert as a parent to receive them via email or via the post office. So my point is, make sure as a parent you are
Updated all
in
the
a
time.
position to, you are updated and you can know in advance, I mean before the start of the new school year, so that you can inform your child, so that they are not
Shocked.
having any sense of a shock as the school starts. Another very important point here in this regard is to constantly remind gently my children of the importance of implementing and putting into action the necessary health measures, such as washing their hands, wearing the face mask, and not to share any personal items with any of their peers or their friends. With that being said, another very important point here is to maintain the rituals of going back to school. Uh, and that's by, for example, providing them
The normal
with
ones, right?
exactly with the new stationery, the new clothing for going back to school, even the meals that they are accustomed to. Why? Because providing all of this creates this sense of reassurance that it is normal, that this is a time for going back to school, and truly they need to comply with this. They need to be in the atmosphere of learning and uh, attaining the knowledge that they need to acquire through this academic year. Another very important point, and that's regarding home schooling, is to maintain the routine of going back to school, and the standard routines, such as going to bed on time and waking up on time, and creating the new spaces for studying, and even taking the breaks and the time for the break, and how they organize themselves throughout the day. This is very important to
You just
create.
create like a virtual, like
Yeah,
school
it is exactly
environment.
a very similar school environment, so that they understand that this is time of learning and time of schooling, so that they are prepared for this. Another very important point in this regard as well is always relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and reminding them of the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's by maintaining a strong relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam clearly tells us, that we need to
عليه
first
الصلاة والسلام.
take all the precautionary measures along with relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Finally, and last but not least, is the importance of taking care of the physical well-being of my children, because it's all interconnected. Their mental well-being uh, intersects with their physical well-being and vice versa. So we need to make sure that they exercise, that they can practice uh, their favorite forms of sport, so that they are also physically fit, because definitely this has a great impact on their mental well-being as well. And of course, with that being said, as parents, we need to find out more. We need to do our homework as parents by finding out more on this, and if needed, to seek professional help. And as I mentioned, at Muslimito, we are delighted to offer our help and support to all our dear viewers and listeners through our official Facebook page and through the website as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Imam Hussein, for your summarization, and thank you for the offer that you actually offered. May Allah reward you for this,
Likewise.
and may Allah help all the humans, like all human beings, actually to go through this pandemic. Allahumma ameen. Thank you, dear listeners, for listening to our today's webinar. I hope that you got so interesting, or so practical points. Inshallah, are gonna get to do that practically, inshallah. And I hope that Allah, reward all of the parents all over the world with many hasanat for their, care about their children, and, for seeking or investing all the investments, all the possible investments actually to to let their children actually have the best life experience ever. Allahumma ameen. So Jazakumullah khairan, Imam Hussein, for that one. And as some of you may know, that this month is the National Societal Suicide Prevention. As you know, that so many people nowadays commit suicide. So many people kill themselves, maybe because of stress, maybe because of like depression, maybe because of just like copying others action, maybe because of like many reasons, to be honest. That's why in some countries they have the National Suicide Prevention Month. So this is actually a very important topic for each and every single parent to be aware of. If you're a parent, this is a must. You must know how to educate your children very well, how to be ready for any, way of thinking that may, like that your children actually may start thinking in, inshallah. That's why, inshallah, next time we're going to have this topic, which is, how to deal with this huge problem as parents. And for your information, there's an average of one, like two, three suicides every single day in USA. Like just imagine one, two, or three suicides, and also it's like the 10th leading cause of death in America. Just imagine, and also like the majority of people who like actually uh, like commit suicide is actually about uh, 25 to 34. This is the second leading cause for that age, 25 to 34, and it's the third leading cause for ages of like 15 to 24, which is, to be honest, scary. That's super scary. If you have a kid, if you have even a brother, even if you're a parent, like maybe you're, like maybe your like partner may think of that. So how should the Muslim deal with that thing? That's, inshallah, we're going to be trying to cover, inshallah, next time. So I hope, inshallah, you're going to join us, and I hope that, inshallah, listen attentively to this super important webinar, so it can help us as well as spreading awareness all over the world. Thank you everyone for that investment. Thank you for listening to us, inshallah. If you have any question, if you have anything that you'd like us to help you with, please make sure that you contact us on our official Facebook page, Muslimito, and also our website. You can actually check that if you would like to contact us. Thank you so much, and inshallah, see you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.